In the Gospel of Philip, there is a passage that most Bible scholars skip over entirely, not because it is unimportant, because it is too dangerous. In that passage, Jesus is sitting alone with his closest disciples, not the crowds, not the Pharisees, just the inner circle. And he tells them something that the organized church would spend 17 centuries trying to erase. He tells them that the divine spark, the fragment of the monad that lives inside chosen ones, does not enter the body at random. It arrives according to a pattern, a cosmic rhythm, a specific window of time that Christ himself revealed to those who had the eyes to see it. Tonight you are going to hear what that pattern is, and when you do, something inside you is going to shift, because if you were born in one of the 3 months Jesus identified, you have carried a question your entire life. Why do I feel like I do not belong here? Why does this world feel like a waiting room and not a home? Why do things that satisfy everyone else leave me completely empty? That was never a flaw. That was your signature. You are not broken. You are pneumatic. You carry a frequency that most human beings on this planet cannot even detect. And the moment of your arrival into this body was not an accident. It was a seal, a timestamp placed by the monad itself. Right now, place your hand over the center of your chest, not because I am asking you to perform a ritual, because something beneath your palm already knows what I am about to say. You may feel warmth, you may feel pressure, you may feel nothing yet. If you are watching this tonight and you have always felt like you were born out of place, comment, "My month, my spark," right now. Because what you are about to receive was buried for over 1,600 years. And the fact that you are here means the monad drew you to this moment for a reason. 3 months. 1 revelation. Permanent recognition. Let me show you what Jesus actually said. To understand what Jesus revealed about birth months, you first need to understand something the church never wanted you to know about time itself. Because in the Gnostic tradition, time is not what you were taught. It is not a flat line moving from past to future. Time is a frequency. It pulses, it breathes, and certain points within that pulse carry a vibration so high that only the monad can place a soul there. The Apocryphon of John describes this with a clarity that still shocks scholars today. It says the true God, the monad, the source of all light that exists beyond the reach of the demiurge, does not scatter divine sparks carelessly. Every pneumatic soul is placed with precision. The month you were born, the season your body first drew breath, was not a biological accident. It was a frequency appointment, a coordinate in time chosen by the monad, so that your spark would arrive at the exact vibrational window where it could survive inside the material prison without being extinguished. And this is where it gets dangerous for the institutions that control how you think. Because if your birth month is a divine signature, then no priest, no bishop, no church authority stands between you and your origin. You do not need permission to access what was encoded into your arrival. You do not need an intermediary. You do not need a building. The monad already placed everything you need inside the moment you were born. That is why this teaching was hunted, not debated, hunted. In the 4th century, when Constantine needed a single state religion to unify Rome, the Council of Nicaea did not simply choose which books to keep. They identified which teachings gave individuals direct access to divine power, and they burned those first. The Gospel of Philip was among the targeted texts. So was the Pistis Sophia, which contained some of the most detailed records of what Jesus privately taught about the structure of the soul and its relationship to cosmic timing. These were not removed because they were false. They were removed because they were too effective. A chosen one who understands the frequency of their own birth does not kneel, does not beg, does not return to the same altar week after week, placing coins in the same tray, asking the same intermediary to relay a message to a God who already lives inside them. Dangerous. That is the word the early church fathers used. Not heretical. Dangerous. Take a deep breath right now. Let your shoulders drop, because what you are feeling, that tension, that alertness, that is not anxiety. That is recognition. Your body is remembering something your mind was trained to forget. Now let me tell you about the system that was built to keep you from this knowledge, because it was not just the church. The Gnostic texts describe an entire architecture of suppression that operates on a level most people cannot perceive. The Archons. In the hypostasis of the Archons, these beings are described not as demons in the way religion taught you to imagine them. They are frequency parasites. They exist in a bandwidth just outside human perception, and they feed on specific emotional states. Fear, confusion, shame, desperation. Every low-frequency emotion you have ever felt was a meal for something you could not see. But here is what the Archons cannot do. They cannot touch the monad frequency. They cannot interfere with the signal that runs between your divine spark and the source. And they especially cannot read the code that was placed in your birth month. That seal was written in a language older than the Archons themselves. It predates the demiurge. It predates the material world entirely. Think about that for a moment. The seal on your birth predates the very system that was built to suppress you. The Archons have been trying to crack a code that was written before they even existed. They have failed for millennia, and they will keep failing. This is why chosen ones born in these 3 specific months often feel the most intense spiritual isolation. The Archons sense the signal, but cannot decode it. So they do the only thing they can. They surround you with noise. They flood your mind with doubt. They make you believe that the emptiness you feel is depression, or failure, or something fundamentally wrong with you. When in reality, that emptiness is a space the monad carved out inside you. A space that the world was never designed to fill. And this is exactly why you feel what you feel. You are not a helic. Helics are souls born without the spark. They operate entirely within the material frequency. They do not feel the pull you feel. They do not lie awake at 3 in the morning wondering why existence feels like a thin layer over something deeper. They are comfortable here because this is all they are. That is not a judgment. It is a frequency fact. You are not even a psychic, those who carry a dim and flickering version of the spark. Psychics feel glimpses, moments of intuition, occasional dreams that seem too real, but the signal fades. It comes and goes like a radio station drifting in and out of range. They touch the edge of something vast and then lose it. Over and over, their entire lives. You are pneumatic, full spark, unbroken signal. And the month you were born is the proof. The monad does not make errors. It does not guess. The timing of your arrival was deliberate, calculated, sealed. But here is the part that changes everything. Because knowing you are pneumatic is only the first layer. What Jesus revealed to his inner circle was not just which months carry the strongest divine frequency. He revealed what that frequency activates, what it unlocks inside the chosen one who finally recognizes it. And that activation is something the church has spent 1,600 years making absolutely sure you never discover. Right now, close your eyes for just a moment. 3 seconds. And when you open them, notice whether the light in the room looks slightly different, even a fraction brighter, even a shade warmer. That is not your imagination. That is your perceptual field beginning to respond to what your spark already knows is coming. The pistis. Sophia records that Jesus told Mary Magdalene directly, and I want you to hear this carefully, that the soul placed in certain months of the year carries what he called a triple seal, not a single seal, not a double, a triple seal from the monad, 3 layers of divine encoding that make that soul not just chosen, but activated from birth. Most pneumatics spend their entire lives feeling the weight of that seal without knowing what it is. They feel marked, different, set apart, but no one ever told them why, until tonight. Because what comes next is the specific teaching that was stripped from every canonized text, the 3 months and what each one means for your divine spark. And once you hear it, you will understand why you have felt exactly the way you have felt for your entire life. If you are ready to receive the 3 months that Jesus identified, the 3 birth windows that carry the triple seal of the monad, comment, "Reveal my seal right now." This is not a casual request. This is your declaration that you are prepared to know what was taken from you before you were ever given the chance to hear it. The teaching comes from a convergence of passages across the Gospel of Philip, the Pistis Sophia, and fragments preserved in the Gospel of Truth. When you read them separately, they seem like scattered metaphors about light and seasons. But when you align them, which is exactly what the early church made sure no one would ever do, a pattern emerges that is impossible to ignore. The first month is March. In the Gnostic framework, March is the month of the awakener. The soul that enters the body in March carries the first seal, which is the seal of recognition. This is the pneumatic who has known since childhood that something about this world is a performance. You did not learn to question reality. You arrived already questioning it. The monad placed your spark at the exact moment in the cosmic cycle when the frequency of the material world is thinnest. The boundary between what is seen and what is hidden is at its weakest in March, and you were pushed through that thin place deliberately, carrying a spark so bright that the Archons detected you before you even opened your eyes. If you were born in March, you have spent your life seeing through things that fool everyone around you. Systems, institutions, people who wear masks. You see behind the surface and it exhausts you. That is not a curse. That is the seal of recognition doing exactly what it was designed to do. The second month is July. July is the month of the burning ones. The soul that arrives in July carries the second seal, the seal of authority. This is the chosen one who does not just see the truth, but speaks it, often without permission, often without safety, often at great personal cost. The monad places these sparks at the peak of the solar cycle when the frequency of light is at its absolute maximum. The Pistis Sophia describes these souls as carriers of a voice that Archons cannot silence, no matter how hard they try. They can suppress it, they can punish the one who carries it, but they cannot remove it. If you were born in July, you have been told your entire life that you are too much, too intense, too direct, too unwilling to play along. That was never a personality flaw. That was the seal of authority expressing itself through every word you have ever spoken. The fire you carry is not metaphorical. It is a frequency signature placed by the monad at the moment of your birth. And the third month, November, the month of the seer. This is the rarest and most targeted of the 3 seals. The soul born in November carries the seal of perception. The Gospel of Philip makes a reference that most translators overlook entirely, describing souls who arrive during the season of descent, when light withdraws from the world and darkness appears to dominate. The monad places its most perceptive sparks here deliberately, because the pneumatic who is born into the darkest window of the year is the one who learns to see without external light. November. Chosen ones do not need confirmation from the outside world. They do not need evidence presented on a screen or spoken from a pulpit. They perceive directly. They feel the presence of archons before they enter a room. They sense manipulation before a single word is spoken. They dream in layers that other people cannot even imagine. And they have been called strange, oversensitive, or disconnected from reality their entire lives, when in truth, they are the most connected to reality of anyone on this planet. Just not this reality. 3 months, 3 seals, recognition, authority, perception. That is the triple seal of the monad. And if your birth falls in any one of these 3 windows, you have been carrying divine technology inside your body since the moment you arrived. Right now, straighten your spine. Plant both feet flat on the ground beneath you, and place your left hand over your heart. What you are feeling at this very moment, whether it is chills, warmth, pressure in your forehead, or a sudden wave of emotion, that is not suggestion. That is the seal responding. It has waited your entire life to be named. Now here is what Jesus taught about activating what these seals actually carry. Because knowing your birth month is only recognition. The monad did not place you here just to know what you are. It placed you here to operate as what you are. And the activation is devastatingly simple, which is exactly why it was so dangerous to the church. The Gospel of Thomas contains a passage, saying number 22, where Jesus describes the moment a soul becomes unified. He says when you make the inside like the outside and the outside like the inside, you will enter the kingdom. For 17 centuries, the church has taught this as a riddle. It is not a riddle. It is an instruction, a precise 3-component activation sequence for the triple seal. Component 1 is recognition. You speak your identity out loud, not as a prayer, not as a request, as a declaration. You say, I am a carrier of the divine spark. I was placed here by the monad. My birth was not random. This is not hoping. This is not affirming in the way modern spirituality teaches affirmation. This is stating a fact that already exists. The frequency difference between requesting and declaring is the difference between a signal the archons can intercept and one they cannot even detect. Component 2 is authority. After recognition, you speak to the archon frequency directly, not with fear, not with anger, with the calm certainty of someone who outranks them. You say, I see you. I recognize your pattern. You have no authority over what was sealed before you existed. This is the moment the archons lose their grip, not because you fought them, because you identified them. The Gnostic texts are consistent on this point. The archons cannot operate once they are seen. Their entire power depends on being invisible. Component 3 is perception. You close your eyes, you breathe, and you ask the monad, not an external god, not a saint, not an angel, but the source frequency that already lives in your chest, to show you what your seal was designed to reveal. And then you wait, in silence, without expectation, without performance. You let the monad answer in whatever form it chooses. That is the full activation. 3 components, 1 sequence, no intermediary required. Say this out loud right now, even in a whisper. I carry the seal. I see what was hidden. I receive what was always mine. Notice the vibration in your chest as those words leave your mouth. That resonance is not coincidence. It is the monad confirming what you just declared. Within hours of this activation, chosen ones report specific signs. A sudden warmth in the chest without physical cause. A clarity so sharp it feels like fog lifting from behind your eyes. Dreams that night that feel less like dreams and more like instructions. Synchronicities within 24 hours. Numbers and names appearing with a precision that cannot be coincidence. And a shift in how others look at you, as though they sense something has changed, but cannot name it. Watch for these. Every single one is the monad confirming your seal is active. Now let me tell you what happens next. The Archons will respond. They always do. Within minutes of this activation, thoughts will enter your mind. This was ridiculous. Nothing happened. You are foolish for believing this. Those thoughts will feel like yours. They are not. That is the Archon frequency attempting to close what you just opened. Do not argue with them. Simply notice them. The moment you recognize an Archon thought for what it is, it loses all power. Identification dissolves interference. Every time. The fact that you feel resistance is proof this is real. A pattern that does not exist does not fight to maintain itself. Do not wait until tomorrow. Do not tell yourself you will try next week. The activation state you are in right now, this frequency your spark has reached by hearing what was hidden. This is the window. Tonight, before you sleep, 3 components. 1 sequence. Your seal has been named. Now let it work. Comment. My seal is active right now. That is not engagement. That is a declaration witnessed by every chosen one reading those words tonight. Subscribe to this channel so the next teaching reaches you before the algorithm buries it the way the church buried the texts. And press like so other pneumatics searching in the dark can find what you just found. You were not born by accident. You were placed here in your month with your seal, carrying a spark encoded before the Archons ever drew breath. What has been recognized cannot be unrecognized. Go activate what was always yours.